Last episode, we got ourselves yet another solid class to help build towards a future, getting both good value at the top and finding some good players down the board. But today, I'm more worried about the present. And so it's been a minute in game time, at least, since we've hopped into a game with our Major League squad. Now sitting at 53 and 66. What better way to gauge where we're at in the current moment than facing off against last year's defending champs in the Minnesota Twins? This team features an absolute ton of power, so Sean Jelly has his work cut out for him here in this one. Last week, of course, as I mentioned on the channel a couple of times, battled some sickness, so that's why the videos were not coming out as frequently, but I'm hoping this week to get things back on track and upload as much as I usually do. And Matt Wallner here, gonna get the scoring going in this game. Second player up to bats, and it is already showing here this Minnesota power. Just his 12th home run, not one of the big time power hitters for this team, but he shows that he's still got some of it here. Next up is Vladimir Guerrero, one of the biggest free agent acquisitions in this series. Gets this one up the third base line. Jordan Beck with a throw, and Guerrero will actually hold at first here. And then Pete Alonso follows that up with another home run already. The Minnesota Twins going from Guerrero to Alonso is just an unfair tandem. 30th home run of the year for Alonso, and already the second homer of the first inning for Minnesota. 3-run lead already, just one out into this ballgame. Correa, maybe a little bit more on the contact side of things. Not saying he has no power, but hitting 294 this year is certainly a good average. Byron Buxton up after that. This one's going to be tracked down in center field by Cerny. Didn't quite have the carry on that one to leave the yard. And Trevor Larnach up next. This one deep to center field again, but Cerny underneath it once more. Minnesota already putting us in a pretty deep hole through just a half inning with a 3-run lead, courtesy of 2 long balls. Our Rocky offense will be going up against Bailey Ober in this one. Not having a particularly great year, so maybe somebody we can get some offense on here early and get back into this game. Thompson going down swinging, though, on a pitch right over the middle. Certainly hope he can make contacts on that one. Kyle Brown up next. Another pitch over the middle. Getting these pitches to hit, but not doing much with them so far. You could definitely tell that I was sick with my last week's videos, as you can hear how much this crowd loves Rafael Murillo. Due to some mistakes that I haven't made in a long time, one of my videos I forgot to turn down the music, so it was at full blast for the last several minutes. And then another one of them I forgot to put music in altogether last episode for the draft. So hopefully we can avoid those mistakes going forward. Jelly was hoping for a bounce back inning here, but it's going to start much like the last one did. The third Twins homer, just the 5th all year for Martin. But teams like playing in Colorado, at least the offenses do, and Minnesota's loving it right now. Not even a trip through the order yet in this game. And there's 3 home runs. Colin Price, he'll go down swinging. Finally, we get a good at-bat from Jelly. First strikeout of the game. Trying to build off of it here, and he does. Gets Lewis down swinging as well on a beautiful slider. 2 consecutive strikeouts. Wallner up next. Homer last time up, and he's back on base again. Base knock over to Vane. Brings up Vladdy. Grounder to Kyle Brown will retire the stud first baseman and end the inning, but not before Austin Martin took one deep. Ethan Salas is back. Another storyline for this episode I've forgotten to mention until now, of course, was out for a little over a month with injury, but happy to see him back in the lineup. He's just a few games in here, still, of course, hitting over 300 as he was, I think, 311 or 308, something around that prior to his injury. Hoping he can keep that going through most of the year, but happy to have him back in the lineup, not only for what he does offensively, but of course a very good defensive catcher as well. But here he's gonna go down looking. Wanted to show that entire at-bat there. Joey Meneses up next. Flies it over to Buxton, who gloves it for out number 2. Zach Veen only hitting .216, and it's not gonna get any better here. As through 2 innings, Rockies can't even get a hit on the board. Jelly here with a good start to inning number 3. Need a clean inning here from him. Retiring Pete Alonso is a good start, and now down the first base line, Figueroa with a tag on Correa. It's out number 2. Buxton up next. 50 pitches already into this game for Sean Jelly, and a grounder to third. We've got the first 1-2-3 inning for the good guys. And the offense finally come up with something, though, here, bottom of the third. Not going to come through Omar Figueroa, who is still currently leading the votes for Rookie of the Year. Or at least he's the favorite. I don't know if necessarily the votes are in yet. Logan Cerny, he's cranking it deep, and finally the Rockies show some signs of life here offensively. Was looking pretty grim here through 2 2/3 inning, Hadn't even put a hit on the board, but Cerny matches a little bit of that Minnesota power. Not a very likely source of it, but we'll take what we can get. Only man to reach in the first trip through the order, back to the top of it here for Sterling Thompson. Fly out to Byron Buxton on the third, but he started to creep towards that lead here. Jelly hoping to continue the momentum off of a strong third inning. It's going to start with a deep fly ball caught near the warning track by Jordan Beck. Austin Martin up next. 1 for 1 so far with a solo shot. But here he's going to fly out to center. 2 gone here in the 4th. Colin Price gets one sniped in center field once more. So another clean inning for Jelly, the Giants. Kyle Brown down the third base line. Pete Alonso jumping throw. Pulls Vladdy off the bag. It's kind of interesting to me that they'd play Alonso at third over Vladimir Guerrero as Rafael Murillo makes it 2 straight hits. And didn't think they'd do it, but they would both get 2 bases out of this one. So 2 in scoring position, nobody gone. A great offensive situation. Can we finally string something together here? Ethan Salas lifts it to deep left center, and it is down for a hit. Reaches the wall, should score 2. And it'll be a 2-run triple for Ethan Salas. Welcome back. Happy to have him here as he puts this back to just a 1-score game. Still no outs. Joey Meneses up, and he goes yard. The Rockies have the lead with an explosive 4th inning. Joey Meneses, really high clutch rating, and it came to play here. 11th homer of the year, 380 feet. Colorado takes their first lead here. 4 runs here into the 4th inning, and we don't even have an out. Let's see if we can keep this thing going. Zach Veen up next. Pitch to hit over the middle. It's deep to center field, back, and it's gone again. The third homer for Colorado. Zach Veen puts a fourth run inning on the board for the Rockies. And just like that, it is 6-4. Veen not having the best year, but he's shown up when we've watched him on several occasions. Figueroa gonna be the first out of the inning here with a fly ball to the shortstop there. Jordan Beck up next, and it's gonna be a diving catch over in left field. Should have been a very easy play, but a terrible reaction made him have to dive for it. But hey, he made the play in the end. Jordan Beck almost got away with a hit there. Cerny up next. Homered last time, and he's on base again with a shot to right center field. Off against the wall, it'll be extra bases for Cerny. The Rockies aren't not done yet in the inning. Sterling Thompson, though, the pop fly into foul territory, handled by the catcher. And the Rockies finally retired in the fourth, but not before taking the lead. Jelly now, terrible start, but starting to heat up and getting a nice call there low in the zone for strike three. It was a full count pitch. Royce Lewis thought he had a walk, but it was not to be. And even worse, he gets beamed in the back with the ball that went through his body after getting called for that strike three. Wallner. Line out to Cerny. Showing off the speed in center field. And then Guerrero with a light tapper. Make it 3 straight. Scoreless for Jelly. If he hadn't had such a bad start, he could last pretty deep in this game, I feel like. The Twins would go with a new pitcher here. Varland to lead off the fifth. Starts his day with a strikeout of Kyle Brown. Rafael Murillo with hit number 2. Grounder down that third base line, and he slides his way safely into second once more. 2 doubles so far for Rafi. Salas brought home 2 runs his last time, but can't add to it here on the full count pitch. Alonso to Pete Alonso, and then a very nice slider there. Will retire Meneses. Can't blame him for looking at that. Probably thought that was going to be outside the zone, but the slider was placed perfectly. Michael Persecki would come out here in the 6th. Like I said, despite the fact that Jelly was playing really well, just that pitch count got ahead of him, so he can't last past 5 innings here. And Carlos Correa looking to pick this Twins offense back up. Gets a 1-out double. His 18th so far this season. Buxton 0 for 2 today and hit right at Persecki for the second out. We can get out of this inning without allowing Correa to come home. That would be nice, but it's not gonna happen. Trevor Larnach comes in clutch for the Twins and cuts this lead in half. 2-out double leads up Austin Martin, and it is caught by Kyle Brown to end the inning for Minnesota. Zach Veen back up to the plate, and he swings at a fastball high and outside. Marlin doing a nice job with the K's. Figueroa will get his first base hit of the afternoon. One of the few guys not to get a hit in that great 4th inning. Beck. Tapper to Guerrero. Throw to second. Back over to first. They won't get 2. There will be a fielder's choice to make it 2 outs here for Cerny. 2 hits so far. Looking at another, and he will. Logan Cerny, surprise best offensive player on the day for us. 3 hits already, and unfortunately not going to be able to bring anybody home. Thompson hit it hard, but right at Royce Lewis. That's a beautiful pitch by Persecki to get the strikeout looking. Here's a fun little alternate view. I like the ump cam here in the game. Top of the order back up. Royce Lewis so far 0 for 3, but he gets his first It's here. On the full count pitch, it'll be a double. Bringing up Wallner, multi-hit day already, and he's going to add to it. Zach Veen, throw home. Release to the cutoff man, and it will hold the runner in third. Need a double play here. Full count pitch for Guerrero. This is hit deep to left center field. Hauled in by Cerny, but an easily taggable situation. We'll tie this game at 6 apiece. 2 outs here, top of the 7th. We need one more. Jeff Ramirez into the game, and Pete Alonso takes him yard. That is Ramirez's weakness here, which you don't love to see for a Colorado pitcher, but this team just has so much power. Everyone seemingly a home run threat. And they step up to the plates. Minnesota now in the lead. Just need one more out. Not going to get it here. Carlos Correa base knock to right field. Buxton. He goes yard now. The second homer. Given up by Jeff Ramirez. He can't even get an out. This game was tied with 2 outs, and since then Minnesota has added 4 runs. Can we just get the 1 out? That's all I'm asking. Mario Lozano in the game. Can he bring something to the table? Are you kidding me? It's another homer. I mean, how hard is it to get the last outs? We've been sitting at 2 outs forever, man. An explosive 6-run inning by the Twins, and they're not done yet. We still can't get that out. Martin nearly had that one leave the yard. Instead, it's off the wall for another double. Colin Price now. So far, the only Twin who hasn't been able to have himself a good day offensively, and that luckily won't change here. We're finally out of the 7th. Brown hit decently well right at Byron Buxton for the out. Murillo full count pitch. Walks his way to first base. Another guy having a good offensive performance for us today. Salas. He too will draw a walk. Okay. Rockies offense trying to come back here, and there's a base hit by Joey Meneses. That should bring home run number 7, and it does. The 3rd RBI picked up by Meneses in this game. After giving up a massive inning, the Rockies try to fight back here, but this is going to be a double play to end the inning. Unfortunate there from Zach Veen. Looked like an inning with potential. Lozano will stick out there for the 8th. Begin the inning with a fly out, excuse me. Wallner up next. 3 hits today. Not going to pick up number 4 here unless Murillo can't make the throw in time. Bobbled it there, nearly allowing the hit. He's got just a strong enough arm to keep it from being a base knock, but Guerrero picks up another hit here. This time he will go for 2. Slides in safely. 1 on, 2 gone for Pete Alonso. He 2 home runs in this game. Not going to pick up a 3rd here. Zach Veen gloves it. 2 more innings for the Rockies to try to fight back in this game, and Omar Figueroa will draw a walk on one. Was definitely a strike. It was 3-0. Probably was going to draw a walk eventually anyway. Jordan Beck, not going to be handled over in left field. He's on base. Runners on 2nd and 3rd, no outs. Much like we started the 4th inning. Can we have another big inning here? Logan Cerny. His 2nd homer of this game. Where is this power come from? It's a 1-run game once more. This game has been a game of just explosive innings. The 3-run inning for the Minnesota's top of the first. Bottom of the fourth, the Rockies scored 5. Top of the 7th, Minnesota scored 6. And now 3 on the board for our Rockies here in the 8th, and we're hoping for more. Brown, chopper up the middle for a 1-out single here. That'll put the go-ahead run on the plate, but we go for the steal. Why are we going for the steal? This is not a team that steals well, man. Now, I understand Kyle Brown might be one of the best at stealing on our team. It's just not a strength. Why are we going for steals in this situation, man? Murillo, of course he's going to get a hit. That's what he does. But we've got 2 outs when it should be a man in scoring position with 1 out. Why are we going for a steal there, man? Maybe if you have an elite stealer. Salas here ends the inning. Would have loved for that to be something we maybe could have tagged up to third. Still had 2 outs to play. You bring up Meneses, who's come up clutch for us here in this game. I just can't get behind the steal decision there, man. Some questionable decision making there, either by Kyle Brown or the first base coach. I don't know which one. Byron Buxton looking to give Minnesota a bit of breathing room here in the 9th. After that, we'll get a Larnack walk. Sims coming in, not having himself a very strong inning. But here's a chopper to Kyle Brown. This one could be 2. 4-6-3. Double play is secured. And it's just a 1-run lead. Can the Rockies score 1 to tie or 2 to take the lead and win the game? Bottom of the 9th. Going to be tough against Duran, one of the best in the business. 36 saves out of 40 opportunities this season. Man throws absolute gas. It's going to be a tough out for the bottom of our inning, and it starts right there. 103 up and in for strike 3. That's tough to hit against. Veen. Grounder to Royce Lewis. Subbed in at third base at some point here in this game. For the second out, Omar Figueroa. It all comes down to you, and he's struck out looking 102 high in the zone. What a nasty pitcher, Yohan Duran. And it kind of sucks that you can't draft players like that in the game, unfortunately, due to the lack of quirks. But a really fun game, nonetheless. 11-10. Just couldn't quite pull it out in the end. Another one of these high-scoring Colorado games. I was asked to show the training in a recent episode, so here we have it. Just going to go by position. Just go down what we've got at each position here just quickly. As you can see, for pretty much everybody that doesn't have much potential, we just have them doing the auto, but for everyone that does have good potential, we have them train individually what we want them to be increasing the most. Seeing a lot of guys with weight room, of course, that is a big time priority for us in this series, hitting in Colorado. We want the home runs here. So there you have it. There is the training. And that's going to wrap up the month of August here for our team. We're sitting at 62 and 77. If you want to take a look here at where we sit in the standings, there are a lot of teams below us here in the National League. We're kind of the top spot of all the teams that don't really have a chance. I mean, the Braves are, they got an uphill battle, we'll say, but everybody above us is either in the wild card or has a chance, and then we're kind of at the top of the best of the rest. And I could see us by the end of the month dropping down maybe all the way to above the Giants. I don't know if we'll drop 4 games below the Giants or anything, but I could see us getting lower there, and then in the American League, there's actually only one team below us. So the American League has just been a much better and more competitive league so far this year, with a month to go. So I could honestly see us, depending on how the month goes, picking anywhere, or at least having the lottery odds anywhere between 5 and 10. It's all pretty closely packed up here with a month to go. Now, player-wise, Rafael Murillo is on a hot streak. He has been, I think, pretty often here the second half of the season. Losing 1 power versus right, unfortunate, but all of his other hitting stats are going up in a really big way, so you'll take that. I think losing 1 power versus right to get everything else up is acceptable. Ethan Salas here. His numbers are going up quite well all across the board as well. Coming off the injury, not able to quite replicate what he was doing early on in the season, which really sucks because he was having a great year. Still, a full point in OPS above what he was and WAR. So still a much better season for Salas, but he was looking really good prior to the injury. Just hasn't been able to replicate it. Chase Dollander has settled into a low 4 ERA pitcher for us, coming up across the board. A lot of these per nines are getting into the high 60s now, and so hopefully we can see a better year from him next year. I think 4.25 with 1.44 WHIP for your rookie season is certainly acceptable. Michael Kopech, kind of been that guy again, just kind of acceptable, not really great, but a really similar year to last year, and the kind of season that you'll probably just have to take until we get some of our younger guys up. And speaking of one of those younger guys, Jose Barreto got his WHIP below 1.2. His hits per 9 was -3 at some point, so he's got that butt up to just -1. Hopefully we can get that positive with one more month. I think he's a very strong candidate to be a September call-up. At the end of August, we have to think about who we're bringing up. I think has everything except for the strikeouts at least in the 60s, has a couple of ratings now into the 70s, which I think could help him succeed. Might be somebody that we could just say we wait until next year to really consider it, maybe give him a spring training invite next year, or we just start him in AAA next year and call him up at some point in the season. He's definitely somebody that I want to take advantage of that prospect promotion incentive. So somebody that I want to have his rookie season start, at the beginning of the season, so we can have that. So that's something to keep in mind. I think he either starts next season on the roster, or we wait until the season after that to have his rookie season. Just again to take advantage of that incentive, give that extra pick potentially. Kyle Brown settling in on about a 2.6 average here, 2.59 to be exact. Again, coming up across the board. Below 700 OPS, not a great start for him, just playing basically as a replacement level player. Omar Figueroa continues to play really well for us. Plus 12 power versus lefties is really awesome. We'll get that potential upgraded to probably 79 or 80 should he win Rookie of the Year, and I think he's got a really good shot at it. Clemente Herrera has been really good since the call-up to AAA. Vision not increasing, but pretty much everything else is. Plus 6 contact versus lefties gets him into the 80s. I think he can hit lefties right now, and maybe we call him up to play against lefties for us for the rest of this year. At 21 years old, 78 overall, I think he's a strong candidate to be one of the September call-ups for our team. Get another long-term hitter up to the major leagues. Brian Doe, he's got his average back up. He had a good start. He was around 280 to start, dropped back, and now he's come back up to it. Plus 7 contact versus righties. I think it was a good call to have him play AA for us this season. Even though, his overall would suggest he should be a AAA, or if not a major league player. I think just working on those weaknesses has been better for him in AA. And I do think He's ready to get that call back up to AAA though, because a lot of these weaknesses are now in the high 40s, which I think you can manage. Sterling Thompson, 261 average here. Getting some boosts against righties. Hasn't really been able to develop much against lefties though in his hitting. And just playing, I would guess that's pretty close to a replacement level player. 1.5 wars is solid enough. Zach Veen, not really developing how we would hope, and so I think that opens the door for his spots. Replacement level player this year was a below replacement level player last year. Rocha can play both left and first base, so maybe we could project him to be a future outfielder and take Veen's, long-term spot. Could be something definitely on our board. Neil Dorsey here, somebody that I want to take one more look at in this season. Going to be next episode, but pitching wise, he's done really well in his 8 games started at AAA. Wanted to get him in this episode, but that game was just so long because of all the action there was that I would have made this episode a little bit longer than I wanted to. But we'll take our final look at Neil Dorsey for the season next episode. And hitting really well here in AAA. Pitching really well as well. And then -4 power versus lefties is unfortunate for him, but +6 to both contacts. Getting a really big boost to fielding and durability. I think it's because he's getting the boosts, because those are things that boost both as pitchers and hitters. I upped his arm strength and accuracy due to it being something that was suggested multiple times when we drafted him. I boosted it to 70. That might have been too much. I wasn't expecting him to get boosts of like 6 or probably even higher by the time this season is done. So we might drop it back a little bit after this season. But if he's going to continue to boost his fielding like this, it's going to be hard to keep him in that DH spot, because despite his terrible speed, he's going to be one of the better fielders in baseball if he continues to increase in this way. But at the same time, I like him being at DH just because playing the positions, it drains your energy, and we want his energy up for when he pitches. So it'll be a tough balance there, because he is pitching really well. And so I think he could provide more value to us as a pitcher than a fielder per se. We got James Ungerer here. Called him up to AAA. Now, some of these numbers being high was from his start with the Royals before we traded him. He was playing AAA and had a kind of a rough start there. That's why he started in AA for us. But other than home runs per 9, getting a really good upgrade across the board as well for him. So I'm happy with that. I think he's not too far away. Jeff Ramirez hasn't quite been very good for us in his first season. -2 walks per 9. Saw him have a pretty rough outing early on in this episode. So not loving that. We've got Yohan Blanco, who pitched really well in AA. I think because his potential is so low, I think he could be somebody that's a good candidate to come and try and boost our pitching. That 38 home runs per 9 is very worrying. But again, just because he has low potential, I think I'm willing to be a little bit less patient with his development. One thing that happened during the month of August is Herb Reyes is out for the year, unfortunately. Broke his forearm during the month, so what we have now is what we're getting for him for the season. But another good year developing his hits per 9. I think didn't he start at 20? So +15 through 2 years is really what he needed in a big way. And his walks per 9 are up into the 80s. And it's helping him simulate very, very well. Drew Romo, solid. He's going to have to play on the Major League roster for us next year. This was his last year with an option. Johnny Brennan played really well for us down in the minor leagues. Up across the board, he had 22 starts for us, and 13 of them quality starts. ERA below 3 and whip at 1.1 is really solid stuff. After that, Anton Hernandez, his best season of the two so far. So I like to see that he's improving in the minors. His hits per nine isn't developing as fast as Herb Reyes has had his developing. Wish it would be, because that velocity and stamina combination makes me really excited. Just needs to continue to work on those per nines, and he's still just 19 years old, so he's got plenty of time to do it. Carlos Cortez here, developing as a good hitter against lefties, not so much against righties this year, unfortunately, but could be somebody that comes up decently soon to be a backup outfielder. Chris Benoit, solid enough year. He did lose time due to injury, so that could affect that his ratings aren't coming up super fast, although I mean they're not coming up very poorly either. Raymond Park maybe could have used one more year developing in single A. Just wanted to hopefully fast track his development. Didn't work out as much in our favor. And then the one guy we didn't look at that I did want to was Mauri Lozano, who has played pretty dang well. Whip suggests that maybe the ERA should be a little bit higher, if you ask me, but great ERA. Whip is still certainly solid, and he's pitched 76 innings for us, so pretty decent sample size as well. Lozano looking like, out of the two, MLB young relievers, looking like definitely the best one so far. So that's a little bit of a snapshot of what the team is looking like right now. Who should we call up? I would say right now, the favorites for September call-ups for me would be Clemente Herrera. I just think he's ready to hit against lefties already for us. And then I would say probably, just again because of the low ceiling, Yohan Blanco. He's pitched really well. He's in the 70s overall. At least give him a shot here in September to see if he can't make a little bit of an impact. But you let me know what you think on the matter. And I'm not going to say I'm rooting for it, but if we could boost our draft stock a little bit here, since we're not going to be in the playoffs, I hate rooting for losing, but it could help us. Maybe sneak out one more top 5 or 6 pick here in the franchise to help us out before, I think next year we're going to really start at least being competitive for the wild card. Kind of like we were at the start of this year where we were hovering near 500. I think we can be that kind of team throughout the whole year, maybe above 500, and really challenge for the playoffs for the first time in this franchise. That's kind of my expectation, but we still got to finish off this year first, which we will be doing next episode. But that's all I've got for this one. We'll be back soon with September, and I'll see you then. Go Rockies.